Welcome to this explainer. Forget the dusty history books because today we're doing something a little different. We're going on a time slip. If you're fascinated by ancient mysteries or the deep spiritual connection humans have with the Earth, you are absolutely going to love this. We're diving straight into the enigmatic world of Japan's ancient Jomon period to unravel the mystery of their most captivating creation, the Dogu.
So imagine slipping back through time. Step back 16,000 years, right into the dense, vibrant, ancient forests of eastern Japan. Picture yourself standing there in the twilight, basically looking over the shoulders of the Jomon people as they gather around a crackling open fire. They're not just surviving, they're totally thriving in harmony with nature. And right there, in the flickering firelight, you see them meticulously molding clay with their bare hands, creating something incredibly symbolic.
Now, to really get a grip on these creations, we have to talk about the sheer, immense scale of time we're dealing with here. The Jomon period is astoundingly long. While the era is kicked off around 16,000 years ago, the specific artifacts we're looking at, these Dogu figures, first showed up in the early Jomon period, which is roughly 7,000 years ago. Their production just steadily evolved through the middle and late periods and then totally hit its absolute peak during the final Jomon period, about 3,000 years ago. I mean, think about that. Literally thousands of years of continuous, evolving artistry.
And they definitely weren't just making a handful of these things. We've unearthed a massive amount of these artifacts across Japan. We're talking more than 20,000 of them. But what's super fascinating is where they're found. They're heavily concentrated in the eastern regions of Japan, specifically the Tohoku and Kanto areas. Out in western Japan, they're actually pretty rare. This geographical clustering gives us a really vital clue about exactly where this specific spiritual practice burned the brightest.
Section 1. Crafting the clay figures. What is a Dogu?
So let's define it. A Dogu is essentially a hand-formed, low-temperature, open-fired clay figure that is completely unique to the Jomon culture. It isn't just some delicate museum piece, it was a living, breathing tool of their everyday culture. They didn't even use advanced kilns. These were shaped intimately by hand. You can often still see the fingerprints of their creators. And then they were baked directly in a low-temperature, open-air fire. It's just a remarkably grounded and earthy process.
When you look closely at one, a few absolutely crucial features stand out. First off, their gender is overwhelmingly female. They frequently depict pregnant bellies and full breasts. Their sizes vary wildly, too. They range from tiny pocket-sized charms of just a few centimeters to imposing figures over 30 centimeters tall. But maybe the most defining visual trait of the whole shebang is the patterning. They're intricately decorated with Jomon, which literally translates to cord marks. It's the exact same rope press patterning that gave this entire civilization its name, along with these really unique puncture marks.
Section 2. Famous Faces of the Dogu.
Okay, you have to take a look at this legendary artifact. This is the Shakoki Dogu from the final Jomon period, unearthed at the Kamegaoka site up in Aomori Prefecture. Shakoki essentially refers to traditional snow goggles, and honestly, you can totally see why. It's famous for those massive, bulging, goggle-like eyes that give it an almost alien-like, otherworldly appearance. Its bizarre look has actually sparked a ton of modern sci-fi myths, but for the Jomon, this was a deeply profound spiritual representation.
And the artistic diversity varied wildly depending on where you were. Just look at the beautiful middle to late period heart-shaped Dogu, commonly found in the Kanto region. It has this incredibly distinct, flat, heart-like facial structure. That is completely different from the elaborate, heavily decorated Tohoku style of the Shakoki Dogu we just talked about. And those are just two examples. There are other famous forms, like the remarkably stable full-bodied Jomon Venus or the mysterious long-legged mask goddess, both found in Nagano Prefecture. The localized creativity is just stunning to see.
Section 3. The Mystery of Broken Dolls.
But here is the big question that baffled researchers for years. Why are almost all of them found broken? We really have to ask ourselves, why on earth would the Jomon people spend so much time, effort, and artistic devotion crafting these intricate figures only to just leave them in ruins? Well, when archaeologists actually pieced together the clues, a chilling but totally fascinating picture emerged. The evidence reveals this breakage wasn't an accident. Dogu are frequently found with arms, legs, or heads purposefully snapped off. And it gets weirder. The broken fragments aren't just dropped where they broke. They were deliberately scattered and buried in completely different, distant parts of the exact same excavation site. This tells us unequivocally, this was a ritualistic destruction.
Which leads us to one of the most powerful explanations out there, the body double theory, or Migawari in Japanese.
The idea is that these dolls were basically used as proxies to take on physical illness or injury. Say you injured your left leg, the local shaman or healer would intentionally break the left leg of the Dogu, transferring the pain and affliction into the clay to heal the human. To me, this points to such a deeply universal human emotion, that desperate desire to protect our loved ones from suffering by offering a clay substitute to the forces of nature.
Section 4. The Jomon Mind and Spirit.
Over the years, scholars have really zeroed in on 4 prevailing theories about the ultimate purpose of the Dogu. First is fertility and abundance. The heavily female forms strongly suggest they were charms used to pray for safe childbirth and rich harvests. Second is the proxy healing we were just talking about. Third is the fascinating concept of a yorishiro, or spirit vessel. That's the belief that these clay figures were literal temporary houses designed to invite down and hold powerful spirits of nature. And fourth, a newer theory suggests they might represent plant spirits, essentially giving a physical face to the soul of vital crops like potatoes. Put it all together and it shows a highly complex cosmology, where the Jomon people use these figures to constantly negotiate their survival with the formidable, invisible forces of the natural world.
Now, with all this intentional, ritualistic destruction going on, you might be wondering how many actually survived intact. Out of the staggering 20,000 figures discovered across Japan over the centuries, guess how many are considered perfect or culturally vital enough to earn Japan's highest honor? Only 6. Yep, just an exceptionally rare 6 Dogu have been officially designated as national treasures. That shortlist includes the Jomon Venus, the masked goddess, and a stunning praying hands Dogu from Aomori. It just highlights how precious and artistically significant these intact pieces are to the nation's heritage.
Section 5. Echoes in Modern Japan.
To really sum up their historical weight, consider this profound quote. Dogu embody the Jomon cosmology, faith, and views on life and death. These figures were never, ever mere toys for kids to play with. They were the ultimate crystallization of an ancient animistic spiritual culture that deeply revered the raw power of nature and the continuous cycle of life, death, and rebirth. They are essentially ancient prayers frozen in fired clay.
And that brings us to a fascinating final thought for this explainer. The Jomon people saw spirits in nature, in plants, and they actively imbued human-like clay dolls with soul and purpose. Fast forward to today, and Japan is obviously a hypermodern society. Yet it remains incredibly unique for its profound cultural affection for giving inanimate objects personality. Think about it. From the shrine amulets that protect your health to the countless, beloved regional mascots or yuruchara that represent towns and crops. As you look at modern Japan's unique spiritual connection to characters and nature, I want to leave you with this question. How much of that ancient Jomon spirit, that instinct to find life, comfort, and connection in a crafted figure, is still alive in the Japanese mentality today? Thanks so much for joining me on this journey.